When Luffy beat Kaido in the manga, there was a lot of controversy surrounding Kaido's character among the One Piece community. Many opinions about Kaido after Wano can be summarized as: Kaido was hyped up to be this great pirate, but throughout the whole raid, he killed nobody apart from one fodder CP0 member, and Kaido's backstory was only half a chapter despite all the build up to his character. These are the type of comments that were made about Kaido after his fight with Luffy. Today we'll be doing a deep dive into Kaido's character, which will hopefully add some new perspective to his character and maybe even change your opinions on him. Kaido is not trash, he's a great antagonist with many layers. Now sit back and relax, because this is going to be a long video. A grand death, the surface. The theme of death in One Piece is huge, ironic considering the total deaths within the series, but even in Wano, it's on a whole other level. One Piece makes it a point to show how the death of a character can impact the world. This is shown numerous times through examples such as Goldie Roger, with his death starting the Pirate Age and setting the supernova out into the world. Whitebeard, revealing that One Piece is real and reigniting the Pirate Age. Odin, the Hour of Legends allowed for the samurai to bring allies 20 years into the future for a battle that would change the fate of the world. But even then, the death theme is also shown on a smaller scale, and how it can cause this great chain reaction of events through examples such as Ace Saul and Pedro.
When do you think a person dies? When a bullet from a pistol pierces his heart? No. When he's attacked by an incurable disease? No. When he eats a soup of deadly poisonous mushrooms? No! A man dies when people forget him.
Kaido wants a grand death that will change the fate of the world. A death that won't be forgotten by anybody. He often references how Whitebeard and Roger did it right, and how death completes a person. On the surface, it's shown that he wants to create the greatest war in history by allying with Big Mom, turning Wano into a lawless pirate and weapons manufacturer island, and using all the ancient weapons, and through this war, he will have massively changed the world and have a grand death, a feat he has failed to achieve countless times, even after falling from a sky island. Oda adds nuance to this idea of Kaido's death through Kaido's fight against Odin, and then again with Luffy 20 years later. War decides a man's worth. When Kaido defeated Odin, he was devastated. Not only was he battling his strongest opponent ever, but also that was the first opponent to ever scar his body in a great battle that, if was not interrupted, would arguably have ended in Kaido's demise. Having to win through extraneous variables and not raw power had gone against his view of a world where battle decides your worth, and had also ruined his chance to die in a great battle. Either way, his victory against Odin was really a loss, as he watched Odin sacrifice himself in burning oil, giving the Scabbards a chance to fight back one more day. The scar that Odin left on Kaido was symbolic of his failure to die, which had also scarred him mentally, shown through the Scabbards attack, making his scar ache again, representing how he never got over Odin's defeat. Kaido versus Luffy. In this battle, Kaido had watched Luffy grow stronger throughout, where Luffy even got to a point where he could match blows with him and split the skies. Throughout the fight, Luffy and Kaido had got to a point where they were both enjoying the challenge. This was truly the biggest challenge Kaido has had since his fight with Odin. It was almost a redemption where Kaido could finally battle somebody capable of defeating him, but then in a tragic upset, a CP0 agent had interrupted his battle, causing Kaido to despair as Luffy was defeated by an outsider's interference once again. Even if this meant Luffy had lost, Kaido had once again failed to win through his own values and strength. Kaido has failed to have his grand death and impact the world, which would be fine, but since the win had ultimately been robbed from Kaido, it left Kaido with even deeper regret. A world with equality and freedom. The second layer. Can you change the world we live in? King. What kind of world do you wish to see? Kaido. These ideas of being able to change the world, coinciding with being Joyboy, are made very apparent within the end of King's and Kaido's fight. The chapter where Kaido himself is defeated is called The World You Wish For. In chapter 985, where Kaido announces his plans for New Onigashima, he emphasizes bringing fear and war to humanity through the alliance and gathering the ancient weapons is the world of violence that we seek. But besides having this vision of a world that fits his romanticism of death, his view of the world was heavily nurtured from his background and celestial dragons who run the world. In Kaido's backstory, he is shown as an unbeatable soldier who is winning wars for his country so they can pay the celestial tribute to stay affiliated with the world government. Kaido during this section wondered why everyone obeys the celestial dragons. His own country would sell him to the navy just to attend the revelry. It was unfair that he was sold out and that the celestial dragons, who were weak, ruled everyone when he was stronger than them. That's why Kaido wanted to change the world into one of anarchy. That's what I call equality and freedom. A world where only war decides a man's true worth. A world where the strong live and the weak die. Kaido's answer to fixing the world was to cause a great war, where even the nobles would have to fight to survive. It would be fair, as the strong would rule, and freedom is ultimately the ability to do whatever you want without any consequences. King was freed by Kaido because he was strong. King asked Kaido if Kaido could change the world. Kaido responded with, "He is the only one who can." That's why King thought Kaido was Joyboy, because Joyboy was a man who changed the world through freedom and equality. But it seems his means to get to the solution was wrong, or his opinions about getting to that solution was overpowered by Luffy's views. What is interesting about this idea of changing the world is how it also relates to Big Mom and Luffy. They both also have a view of an ideal world that was nurtured from their upbringing. Kaido was a soldier who believed equality and freedom is achieved through a world of war where everybody is equal and the weak, like the celestial dragons, but on the same level as everybody else. He would die for this cause in order to change the world. Big Mom has a twisted, childlike dream of every race on the planet living together in harmony. On the surface, it's ideal, but beneath it, you realize she'll only rule with an iron fist and will do anything to achieve this goal. She's unpredictable and could threaten her empire at any time, but she genuinely believes she's a good person, like how she thought Mother Caramel was. Luffy also has a childlike dream, however it greatly juxtaposes Kaido's one of battle. A world where my friends can eat as much food as they want. This dream is also another take on freedom and equality, where everybody is free to eat what they want and do what they want without punishment. A place where not only the rich can enjoy life, but also where the poor can too. This dream stems from Luffy's life in Great Terminal, where people lived in a literal scrapyard, symbolizing how they are trash and the nobles all lived in the city. This is similar to Wano, and how the flower capital is thriving, but every other land, like Kuri or Ebisu Town, is suffering, where they can't even drink clean water. Luffy's dream is different, in that he suffered through the life of a poor man, but he still won't judge all the nobles by generalizing them. He'll judge them by the individual person they actually are. He's been doing this throughout the series. Joyboy, the third layer. Kaido's curiosity for Joyboy stems from King. King's belief that Kaido will be Joyboy originates from Kaido saying he's the only one who can change the world. Yamato reveals through the Odin journal that Odin's desire was to open up Wano to welcome Joyboy in 20 years. Kaido has an interesting piece of dialogue with King. "I think I know who Joyboy is. He's the man who shows up to beat me in the future." This dialogue adds meaning to Kaido's statement when he first beat Luffy on the rooftop, "So you weren't Joyboy," showing how Kaido really wanted his impactful death to be done by Joyboy, the man who will change the world. He wanted to die a martyr and have an impact on the world, unlike any other person. A death that awakened Joyboy himself. This also adds layers into the second Luffy defeat when the CP0 agent interfered, destroying Kaido's 1v1 and once again making Kaido relive his trauma of Kaido's battle with Odin, but also ruining Kaido's martyr-like dream. King's response to Kaido saying Joyboy will beat him in the future, "I guess we'll never see him then." This further increases Kaido's dynamics with the calamities, like his dialogue with Jack. But this represents Kaido's indestructible image. Either Kaido dies creating a world of war, or he gets defeated by the person who will eventually create a world of equality and freedom, which is Luffy. Kaido's defeat represents his acceptance that Luffy is Joyboy, and through his grand defeat, he was the one that welcomed Joyboy into the world. Kaido's defeat could still be viewed as Luffy crushing Kaido's dream, defeating him on the island of Onigashima, where nobody saw him lose, as opposed to above the whole nation that everybody is watching, which is a common theme in Luffy's battles. But even then, Kaido's defeat has now caused a great change in the world, the likes of which has never been seen. It's similar to Whitebeard in a sense, but the impact of Whitebeard's death is much greater. Where Whitebeard's death truly overshadows Kaido's defeat is how he died protecting everybody from the Marines, with a list of all the injuries he's had throughout his life being said, just to show him dying standing up with no scars on his back. Compared to this grand death, Kaido had been defeated with nobody witnessing him. Kaido's death paralleled Odin's, as Kaido had been sent to the bottom of boiling lava when nobody could see him, as opposed to the grand death of Odin surviving boiling in front of Wano for 1 hour and then dying while rescuing the Scabbards. It was like a twisted revenge sent from the past 20 years into the future. Conclusion. Kaido's view of an ideal world of equality and freedom is a world where only war decides a man's true worth. A world where even the celestial dragons are on the same level as everybody else and they have to fight to survive. A world of anarchy. This view stems from Kaido being sold to the world government by the country he fought for throughout Kaido's life, and also left Kaido questioning why people obey the celestial dragons. A grand death is a death that shapes the world, and one that will be talked about for years to come. Kaido tells that to Odin, along with saying Odin died a spectacular death. Another example of Kaido idolizing these grand deaths is in his introduction, talking about how Whitebeard did it right. In the world that Kaido envisions, he can die a grand death, having created a world of equality and freedom, but also achieve the greatest death of all time, as he'll have changed the very structure of how the world is run. Can you change the world we live in, King? You think I'm Joyboy? Kaido. Joyboy is viewed as this warrior of liberation who will change the world and bring the world into a brand new dawn, ending the rule of the oppressive celestial dragons once and for all. King's complete confidence in Kaido that he will be the one to change the world means King believes Kaido is Joyboy. Kaido is viewed as indestructible, which is further shown through King doubting that anybody can truly beat Kaido, and that is why Kaido believes that Joyboy is somebody who will beat him in the future. Because if Kaido isn't able to change the world, then the only other person who can is one who would defeat him, the world's strongest creature. Kaido's acceptance of Luffy's dream, a world where my friends can eat as much as they want, in chapter 1049 represents Kaido's great impact through this defeat, being the one to welcome Joyboy into the world, literally being the person to awaken somebody with Joyboy's devil fruit. Kaido welcoming Joyboy into the world through Kaido's loss, and also showing how Kaido's defeat will really change the very structure of how the world is run, by accepting Luffy's ideal world, now that has been further enforced by admitting Luffy is Joyboy. Kaido's acceptance meant that his death had made the greatest impact, but this also meant Luffy had crushed 2 of Kaido's dreams. Kaido wanted to die a grand death, the likes of which Odin, Whitebeard and Roger achieved. But instead, he was defeated above Onigashima and sent into the lava, where nobody could see his loss and tell the tale of his defeat. The second dream that Luffy crushed was Kaido's view of the ideal world. By accepting Luffy as Joyboy, this meant he had physically and mentally yielded to Luffy's view of the world and had died a martyr, believing that Luffy is Joyboy and that Luffy will be the one to change the world and make it a world of equality and freedom. The ideas and themes that surround Kaido are quite unique, and they do interest me. There will never be a perfect character for everybody due to different interests, but even if it's not something that interests you, you can still look at how it was executed, built up the writing subtleties to form a less biased review. I do believe Oda does a great job in all these categories I have mentioned. I believe Kaido is a great character, but reading weekly it was hard to piece together the puzzle of his character, and through this reread, I feel everything came together perfectly. His ideas of a great death, his ideas of a perfect world, the interesting question of who is Joyboy. My only criticism of Kaido's character is how his backstory lacks so much depth compared to other great villains like Doflamingo, Katakuri, and even Big Mom. I believe Oda was shackled in his creativity for writing Kaido's backstory, because the Lord section included big details of his relationship with Rocks and the God Valley incident, which Oda is saving for later in the story. Is Kaido a better character than Doflamingo or Katakuri? As of now, I personally believe that Doflamingo and Katakuri are better written, but that's only because Kaido's story isn't finished yet and he has so much more potential in the future when Oda covers the God Valley flashback. But for now, Kaido is comparable to Katakuri and Doflamingo. So that was my analysis on Kaido, and those were my personal thoughts at the end. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? Comment your thoughts down below and tell me your favourite One Piece villain. Like the video if you liked it and subscribe for more content.